Oh, there you go. I'm going to hand out I'm just going to talk from a PowerPoint presentation. They're in black and white. Color costs too much. I think I have 15, hopefully it'll be enough. I did bring one in color because I'm going to show you something in here that shows it better in color. First of all, my name is Greg Bloom with Canadian Solar. Here to talk about, give you an update on the West Antelope Solar Project. I think my colleague from Tuusso Energy, Jason Evans, probably was here before you guys, either earlier this year or late last year, a while back. Since that time, Canadian Solar has acquired the interest of Tuusso Energy, so we are 100% owners of the project. They're working with us through the permitting phase, but we're basically, like I said, 100% owners of this project. Canadian Solar is basically a solar panel manufacturer with their U.S. headquarters in San Ramon, California, mainly working on smaller projects than some of the larger projects out here, mostly the 20 megawatt size type projects. And of course, the information about Tuusso there. The project itself is on, I have a map, I'll talk about that in a minute. The project itself is located on 110th West and J on several parcels right there on both sides of J. It's a project size of 263 acres, but we're only going to build on 180 of these acres. And I'll talk about that in a minute. The attached transmission line goes right over the property. So that's one of the attractions to this area. Also, really I think it's important is that this has a 20-year power purchase agreement with PG&E. And really, in order to have any kind of a solar project, you need three things. You need an interconnection, you need a permit, and you need somebody to buy your power. Okay, the reason that I'm bringing this up is you're not seeing any more of the large projects anymore because the utilities are not offering those types of contracts out there. And the contracts that are left, this is my opinion, I've been in the business for 25 years. Basically, all these projects that you're hearing about getting permitted, they are not all going to get built because they don't have power purchase agreements. And they're becoming fewer and fewer of those out there. The utilities are offering less and less of those due to their requirements are to buy a certain amount of renewables. They've already acquired pretty much all that amount. So even though people are permitting a lot of these small projects out here, in my opinion, that a lot of these projects are not going to get built. People are permitting them, assuming that they're going to get these power purchase agreements. There's been 4 auctions for these smaller projects. This project was one of the first auctions. They're only having one more auction, and that's it. So there's not going to be a lot more. I know there's a lot out here right now, but my point of this is that not all these projects are actually going to get built. So if anybody comes before you guys to talk to you about a project, you need to ask them, do you have a power purchase agreement? If they don't, they're kind of, some people call that speculating, I guess. I don't know. So right here, there's a project site map. Now I have the color version because I want to show you something. This is 110th right here. Here's J right here. So these two parcels there's actually a couple of parcels on each side. That's the property side. This is the Tehachapi transmission line. Going right down here across the property and hooking into the big substation there. This is our interconnection. We're going to interconnect this piece right along here, along J, interconnect there. That whole piece is going to be underground. So we're putting that underground just for the visual aspect of it all. And so that's that. Now the other thing, the next page is the layout. And it's that same property but kind of turned sideways in order to fit onto this paper. And the reason I'm showing you this right here is that this is the property piece here. This other square here is the property. All this land right here is not going to be developed. It will be put under a conservation easement, so there will be no development on there. The fence is only going to be right here around the project. So we're going to leave all that open. And the fencing that we are using is going to be wildlife fencing. Basically, every section or every so often there'll be a raised section of the fence that allows all kind of wildlife to just continue their corridor passing through there. We'll have some a little bit more secure fencing around some of the equipment, but basically we want to be able to allow the continued movement of whatever comes through there. So that's important. The next slide, of course, is the environmental benefits. I think everybody understands that. I'm not going to have to go through all that. The local community benefits, again, you've heard, all y'all have heard some of this. This is a much smaller project than the large projects out here. It's the construction time is smaller, the impact is smaller. It's only a 4 to 6 month construction time period. There's about 100 jobs will be out there, and 4 to 5 permanent jobs. Just trying to look through here. One of the things we're doing, we are going to be constructing 1 mile of the California Poppy Trail. That was the request of the county. And so I think apparently, my understanding that other developers are getting a piece of that. So we're going to do 1 mile, and other developers will do 1 mile. And certain ones, so eventually the trail will be done all the way. And so that's, and we're of course are happy to do that. I guess the next couple of slides are really what I want to talk about. And I think one of the things that, we've been very sensitive to is the dust issues out here. I was out here in June speaking to the Antelope Acres Town Council, both of them, and basically that night it was blowing and the dust was blowing. And it really, I got out and it's not dust, it's really sand. I feel, you can feel it. And it's very, so we are very sensitive to that. And because we had heard these issues and we've been talking to the county, we have designed our project to be basically very minimal disturbance. We're not doing any scraping, disking, or grading for where all the panels, where the arrays are going to go. The only place we're going to do grading and compacting is where the roads are and where the building is, the infrastructure that we might need. And this will be in compliance with the Board of Supervisors resolution that was passed this summer, basically. We already knew that was coming, that's why we designed it. On December 5th, we're going to present our dust mitigation plan to the Antelope Valley Resource Conservation District at their board meeting. And while they have no authority over us, we're trying to consult with them and get their blessings on this, and hopefully they're going to write a letter for us to say, based on our plans, we're going to be complying with that. As part of that plan, we're basically going to be putting in some vegetation around the property like all the other projects around here. In fact, one of the things we had to do was we had to actually move the whole site plan over about 5 feet in order to give enough room to make sure we get all the proper vegetation around. And we're going to do that first. That's the first phase of the project. We're going to put up the vegetation and the windbreak and so forth. We know it takes a while to grow out and everything, but we want to get that started as soon as we can, just before we start doing the project. So we definitely have heard that. We're definitely sensitive to that. I understand you just can't, and sometimes you can't even walk across the place without disturbing things. So we're going to be careful to, not drive off of we're going to have certain roads, certain walkways, identified. Nobody's going to walk or drive off of those particular areas in order to, not cause any disturbances. So again, we heard that. The Swanson's hawk and burrowing owls. What we found out, and then this is on the next page, this project is doing a mitigated negative declaration, MND versus a full EIR. And while we did find, we did see burrowing owls and Swanson's hawks on the property, there were no active, nesting there. They are adjacent, and they are looking at the effects of the foraging and the habitat and so forth. So that's all being looked at, but we are definitely, there aren't any, like I say, active sites. And so basically, in our application, the county has identified that we basically are having some significant environmental impact, but with all the mitigation measures that they're adding on, that we're reducing that to less than significant. So by basically, they're allowing us to do an MND of this project. We'll see how that goes before it's all over. I'm just going to look through here. I'm not going to go through all this. Mitigation land. Because it was an MND, we really weren't required to basically to do this, but we did agree to a 2-to-1 mitigation for the land that we're impacting. So basically, we have to go out and we have to acquire similar land and as close as we can to the property on a 2-to-1 basis for the acres that we're actually impacting, meaning where we actually have things up. The county is allowing us to use that, what I showed you earlier, on-site, some of that on-site land as mitigation. So we'll use that, and we'll have to acquire a small amount more, and all that will be placed under a conservation easement in perpetuity, and we'll pay a stewardship fund to basically, there'll be one of the land banks around here. We'll be looking at that. We haven't decided exactly who it's going to be, but somebody will be stewards of that land going forward. Talked about the pocket trail. Oh, the water usage. Okay, so this is another issue we had this summer. Spent a lot of time on because we were getting, as usual, when you deal with LA County, you get conflicting advice from different departments. Same people, same place, but so one person will tell you one thing, another person will tell you another. So we were told at the beginning.
How could that happen? They
told us that we needed to go to Fort Sill and get a little serve letter from Fort Sill, which we did. And LAFCO came in and said, no, we're not allowing that. So you can't do the transfer. So at the end, we ended up with this, I call it, my own words, convoluted transaction, but county council bought off of it. So we're sourcing our water from the Coelho Water District, which is not in the basin here. So the Coelho's going to sell it to AVAC. They're going to bring it down the aqueduct. AVAC's going to sell it to District 40, and District 40 is going to sell it to us. And so that's where we ended up. Everybody seems to be happy. I don't quite get it, but anyway, everybody gets their share, I guess, or something like that. So, but nonetheless, none of the water is being sourced out of the basin here, so I think that's the important thing. And as far as one of the other features of the dust mitigation plan is we've acquired and have available during the construction period more than twice the water that we actually will need. And we have that for, if we need it for dust suppression, that we'll be able to do that as needed. We're also going to have a third-party monitor out there every day, so that when the winds exceed 25 miles an hour and all the rules and so forth, there'll be somebody that basically shuts down construction. And unfortunately, we're starting in first week of March. Apparently, the windy season around here. So the many days that goes over 25 miles an hour. We'll find out. Should be fun.
Maybe shut down for a month.
Yeah,
if you don't like the wind right now, wait 15 minutes.
I understood. I understand. So, nonetheless, but it is a shorter time period. So, you know, that's compared to the 2 or 3 year time frame you're seeing with some of these larger projects. So, from that point of view, I think it's beneficial. And again, we'll have plenty of water. We'll have a third party. We're looking at. We're talking to Antelope Valley Resource Conservation District as being the third party to be the monitor for us out there. As far as the timeline of this project, where we are is the MND went out for public comment and 30-day comment. The 30-day comment period actually ended yesterday, and we did receive a handful of comments from folks. The county now has to respond to all these comments, and then so that the way it was going to, the way it's timing normally would have worked out, we would have had our hearing in the middle of December. However, due to the end of year holidays and the tax schedule on the agendas, we're actually going to have our hearing now on January 8th. So our hearing is at the Planning Commission in LA on January 8th. Definitely can, I encourage folks to file comments. I think you can file comments even now. They'll accept comments and letters all the way up until the hearing. Despite, they say it's a 30-day, they'll still accept comments. And certainly, again, this is an MND procedure is just as open as an EIR, just as public. All the public has an opportunity to make comments and voice their opinions on this. So I urge everyone to please, if you feel the urge or need, file comments. That's what it's all about, and we'll address all these comments as best we can. So yeah.
You mentioned a 2-for-1. Could you explain that a little bit more?
Sure. What that means is for every acre of land we get back, we have to go out and find 2 acres for every 1 acre, we have to find 2 acres that's similar situated land, similar in all the ways that are same characteristics that are the land. And that will be put under a conservation easement. And for perpetuity, so there'll be no development on that land. So it's a way of preserving some open space.
So you're putting 526 acres in the conservation?
No, no, because there's 200.
Oh, so it's only where the arrays are?
It's only where the, yes, exactly right. Yeah, so it's actually, and that number is not quite under, it's not quite resolved yet. It's anywhere from 100 acres to 200 acres, but something to that effect. We're talking to, like I say, some of the local land banks around here. We haven't selected which one we're going to take. Use. There's an AV Conservancy. There's a Transition Habitat. There's a couple others we're talking to around here. But that has to all be resolved before we get our grading permits, our actual building permits, which will be issued after, at some point after approval of the project. Hopefully approval. I'm not assuming approval. I'm hopefully.
Another question.
I'll come back to you one second. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No,
Yeah.
Benny, please.
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Question on your water. You bought it from where?
Well, we haven't bought it yet. I did Quail Water District.
And they're located?
Huh?
Where's that at?
I couldn't tell you. I wish I did. That's the other thing. I don't have all the answers. I was supposed to have a couple of guys with me tonight. So if there's any questions you have that I don't have an answer, I'll take it down and get it back to you. But it's not in the Antelope Valley Water Basin. It's not.
Well, you're talking imported water through ABAC.
Right.
You're not physically buying a gallon of water.
It's paper transaction.
You're basically buying your water right.
Exactly. I mean, that's the reality of it.
Yes,
Yes, correct.
that's what I wanted. That's
Correct.
what I wanted to find out because.
That's
Thank you. You're on track.
The type of panels that you're using.
Yeah.
I know there's some that put down that are gas filled some kind of way.
Yeah, cadmium. That's
Yeah.
the first solar ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, ours are not like this. Ours are just regular monocrystalline, panels.
Oh, like the one Buffett got here?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
okay.
So there's no requirement that they have to be taken away and disposed. And if one breaks, it's not quite like the same as those guys.
Okay.
They have their own set of issues there.
Right.
So I'm not going to get into.
Yeah. Because my concern was, on this end of the valley, we're kind of okay, but this is a flight training area.
Yeah.
And if a plane goes down, those people on that end, where that wind blowing, I'm thinking that they're going to be in big trouble with those gas.
Yeah, I don't know all the
Right.
characteristics of that chemical.
Mhm.
I do know that I was at one meeting and the first solar person said, well, there's only enough for 2 AA batteries in each panel. And I said, okay, so how many panels do you have? A lot of panels. So that's a lot of cadmium out there. But anyway, I'm not going to talk about it. I like all those guys, but it is a different technology.
You say your fence is going to go where?
The fence is actually just going to be right around the arrays. This is going to be some of our mitigation land, so that's going to be open.
Okay, now, is this going to be fencing across where Adam and Jay would be if an
No.
and Jay were there?
No,
Okay, so that would be open there?
yes, oh yes.
Okay, so if people wanted to hike or ride or whatever, they can get through there?
Yeah, oh yeah, and wildlife too.